So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I'm very proud and honored to be here with you and to welcome you to the first episode of Ifcda Dialogues. Ifcda, or International Federation of Choral Directors Association, was born in the early month of 2021. The founding members are Armenian Choral Conductors Association, Asociación de Directores de Coro de la República Argentina, Asociación de Directores y Coros del Ecuador, Asociación Española de Directores de Coro, Associazione Nazionale Direttori di Coro Italiani, International Choral Organization of Tokyo, Nova Associação Brasileira de Regentes de Coros, ABRACO, Philippine Choral Directors Association, PSDA, Polyphonic Choruses Association of Turkey, Red Nacional de Directores y Coros de Mexico, Serbian Choral Association, and the Association of British Choral Directors. Ifcda desire is to have and to give a global vision of the world's choral leadership, and along this path, to build a warm friendship between the Choral Conductors Association. The Ifcda Dialogues are our first public event, and they mirror our desire to improve mutual knowledge and understanding. Today, we will have the opportunity to meet Brazilians and Philippines representatives and learn some more about their choral tradition and the way they work. For Nova Associação Brasileira de Regentes de Coro, or ABRACO, I give a warm welcome to Ana Lucia Gaborim and Vladimir Silva. For Philippine Choral Directors Association, or PCDA, we're happy to have today with us Erwin Redor and Angelito Ayran Jr. So first question for our guest: what is your association story and what is its present? We want to learn when was it founded, how many members you have, which is your structure. So can we start with the Brazilian association?
Yes, for sure, Cecilia. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am very happy to be here today, this morning, sharing our experience with so many friends around the world. It's a very nice time, and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy this opportunity. My name is Vladimir Silva. I'm speaking from Brazil, northeast of Brazil. I'm in Campina Grande, Paraíba State, around Recife and João Pessoa. There are big cities here in the region. I'm professor at Federal University of Campina Grande, where I teach conducting and voice. And I'm the president of Nova Associação Brasileira de Regentes e Coros since 2021. And together with Ana Lucia and other friends, I'll be in charge with them until 2024. I would like to share with you some information about our organization. So the history of the Brazilian Choral Directors Association can be divided into two parts. The first part is that of the 90s, when the association was born and received great support from the American Choral Directors Association in the United States of America. The organization worked for several years. However, due to various problems, it had its activities interrupted. After almost 2 decades of break, several conductors began a new movement to revitalize the association. It's important to mention the name of Maestro Davi Juncker in the first part of our history. He was a big leader in Brazil, and he conducted, let us say that way, that first part of our history. The Nova Associação Brasileira, ABRACO, the Regentes de Coros, ABRACO, was born again in a new format. It is a non-profit and non-partisan civil society of a cultural, educational, and representative character, having as associates professional choral conductors, linked or not to public and private institutions, operating throughout the Brazilian territory. ABRACO, the acronym of our association is also an allusion to a very important noun in Brazil. In Portuguese, when we say abraço, we mean to give a hug. Therefore, our organization was born to embrace all Brazilian choral directors from north to south, from east to west. It is important to say that the foundation of Abraco was only possible thanks to the work of a group of professionals who met with the aim of organizing this national movement. It is important to highlight two important meetings that we had here in Brazil. The first one in 2017 in Vinhedo, São Paulo State, and the second one in 2018 in Betim, a small city in Minas Gerais. So these two meetings were very important to reorganizing the association. And there they just, elected what I would say, the managing group that was taking care of the association for a short time, only for 2 years. So at that time we have again Davi Juncker, Martinho Lutero Galati as the president, Davi Juncker as the vice president, Alice Nascimento as the treasurer, and also Marcio, I just forgot his second name, forgive me.
Guirado, Marcio
Guirado, yes, Marcio Guirado, thank you, Ana. And also Davi Reis as the secretaries of the association. So they took care during 2 years of our association, and they did a very good job organizing everything. So in 2020, we had the first International Choral Conducting Congress that was held in September that year. And there we host very important guests, including Maria Guinan, Alberto Grau, Simon Carrington, Philip Lawson, Sharon Paul, as well as Brazilian conductors. So we have lectures, we have recitals, we have concerts, we have seminars. It was a very important time. And it was at that time there was the election for the new board. And there was in September 2020 that our board was elected. So today we have a board with 6 members. I am the president. Gisele Cruz is the vice president. She's from São Paulo. Ana Lúcia Gaborin is our first secretary. She's from Campo Grande, Midwest. Our second secretary is Márcio Busato from Porto Alegre, South Brazil. And our 2 treasurers, one is from North Brazil, Fabiano Cardoso, he's from Manaus. And the second secretary is from São Paulo also, Nailce Machado. So this is the executive board of our association. In addition to that, we have also a board of representatives with members from different states. And also we have our editorial board that has 3 professors from very important universities in our country. The main objective of our association is to promote artistic and musical development, stimulating the practice of choral singing, aiming to increase the quality of artistic and cultural experience of its participants. So today we have around 140 members, founder members, yeah. But this number for sure is going to increase as we will open to new registrations briefly. We also have some plans for the next years, including Congress competitions for new compositions for choral music, as well as the publication of a newspaper. So we have already our website. It's only in Portuguese right now, but you can visit, you can find lots of information about our choral movement and about our association. We are also on Instagram and Facebook, and we have a channel on YouTube. So feel free and feel invited to visit our social medias. I think for now is all that I have to say.
Okay, thank you. So now I can just pose the same question to the Philippine team, and let's learn some more about their association.
Yes, thank you, Cecilia. Thank you very much for that, Vladimir. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, all right.
Yes.
Yes, for the Philippine Choral Directors Association, first of all, we're very glad to be part of this IFCDA, being a founding member of this group of Choral Directors Association. It's going to be a great help for all of us, and we're really just looking forward to more cooperation from different parts of the world. So for PCDA, the Philippine Choral Directors Association, we started officially in 2008. The organization is 13 years old. It's going on 14 years old. It rooted from this meeting in 2004 with the first national what was that? First National Choral Summit in 2004, which was organized by the Junior Philippine Choral Association of the University of the Philippines. So this is an organization of student conductors in the University of the Philippines. So that was in 2004. Jean-Claude Wilkins, I think, was there. Mr. Jun Ayran was also there. So there. But before that, there's this organization already existing, which was dormant for quite some years, which is the Philippine Federation for Choral Music, if I'm not mistaken. The Philippine Federation for Choral Music, which our national artist for music, Andrea Veneracion, was once chairman of, the founding conductor of the Philippine Madrigal Singers, Andrea Veneracion. And eventually it was chaired by Dr. Romulo Pizania, and vice chaired by Dr. Joel Navarro. I think that was the last group of members of officers that they had before the organization went dormant. So in 2008, PCDA officially was formed. Most of the attendees of the first meeting of the PCDA was coming from this annual workshop series from the Asian Institute of Liturgy and Music. Sir Jun Ayran, do you want to talk about a little bit about this ALIM workshop?
There was by the way, I'm Jun Ayran, and one of the vice president of the PCDA. During those times, we were attending workshops. They were giving workshops for choral conductors in this a very small school of music in Manila, based in Manila. So was very very positive for us every summer, the summer choral workshop. And we decided to come up with something really interesting, which is the birth of PCDA. This small school is actually really a school for conducting an Asian music. Most students coming in are all Asian, coming from the Asian countries. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. And then it was organized by Mr. Jonathan Velasco. Sir Jonathan Velasco was then eventually elected to be the first president of the Philippine Choral Directors Association, and he was president for 2 terms, 6 years. All right. So these two people that I mentioned, Mr. Jonathan Velasco and Dr. Joel Navarro, who was vice chairman of the then Philippine Federation for Choral Music, they are currently our advisors to the board. All right. So for PCDA, we have more or less around 700 past and present members for the whole 13, 14 years of the existence of the association. And we have 7 board of directors, members of the board. So a president, 3 VPs, 3 vice presidents, Mr. Jun Ayran, which is who is the VP for membership. We have a VP for projects, VP for finance, and then we have 3 other directors. Because as you know, the Philippines is an archipelago. We have more than 7,000 islands in our country. So we have 3 major divisions in our country, the Luzon, Visayas, and then Mindanao. So we have from each of those major island groups a director. All right, and in most provinces or most regions, we also have representatives for us to know the needs of the members in the grassroots level. All right, so there, and that's the board. For the working staff, for the working administration, we have 3 staff members. I myself, as a Secretary General, and then I have an Assistant Secretary General and membership officer. All right. So currently, the president of the Philippine Choral Directors Association is Dr. Beverly Shankuan Cheng. We have Dr. Maria Teresa Visconde Roldan as VP for projects. Mr. Jun Airan, Professor Jun Airan, VP for memberships. And we have Mr. Joel Boragay, Mr. Nino Banyares, and Ma'am Perlene Enriquez as our 3 directors. And every start of the year, we have a meeting, a planning and evaluation seminar, just to plan and talk about the past year, what happened, what could have been done better, and also to talk about what the plans are for the coming year. So that usually happens around January, February. And yeah, later on, we'll be talking more about what PCD has been doing. And yes, thank you.
So here we are with a second question for you. So tell us about what would have been your annual schedule in a non-COVID year. So if you organize festivals or meetings or congresses on a regular basis, and we can start with a Filipinian association, as you were already talking about that.
All right. Sorry, I was preempting your question. All right. So yeah, maybe just before we answer that, just before June and I answer that question, we would just want to share with you the very last live event that we hosted back in October 2019. Actually, this event, this specific day is the exact 2-year anniversary of this event. On this day, October 24, 2019, we opened this National Convention 2019 in Manila. So let me just share a video for you to see a glimpse of what happened. Maybe this is more informative for you than hearing us talk about the event. So let me just share my screen and play my video. All right, there you go. It is so overwhelming to see that event with a venue full of people. I just hope we look forward to that day that we can do that again. But yeah, that's how our national conventions go. We conduct a national convention, and then simultaneously we have a master class where we invite foreign conductors. Maybe Sir June can talk about more of our other activities.
Yeah. Yes. Again, I'm Professor Jun. I'm the Vice President for Membership of PCDA. I'm also currently the conductor of the Centro Escolar University Singers Manila and the Mapua Cardinal Singers. So actually, when that video, I was just attending the the convention during that time. I was not yet elected, but we had an election, so I was elected to be a VP. Uh, so before the pandemic, we are doing our activities triennially or every 3 years. So we have a 3-year cycle, and we have this visiting conductors program, choral reading sessions in between. No, so before the pandemic, we have this provincial assemblies, and then for the second year, we have the regional conferences. So we need to really locate different places in the country for this, and we have to organize this in three, always in three, and especially the provincial, because we are really scattered, and we really need to reach more institutions, more communities with choirs and conductors. And of course, the third year, we always have this national convention, where the last one we did in 2019 was really exciting. No? And yeah, and as far as the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao with the 7,000 islands, we are really trying our best to reach out for the conductors. And the Philippines is very rich in this culture, in this singing culture, but not yet in that stage wherein everybody is really literate in choral direction. So we are promoting this one to be united, and others to learn from each other, and that's the reason why we have PCDA. And at some point, these conventions, we observe that it's getting bigger and bigger. Of course, the activities from the first year for the provincial assemblies, this is already the start. Though we give them already some good ideas, some topics that for them to learn and discover, and then we introduce them to the next level for the regionals. So because it's a little bit bigger audience, and we invite different speakers from local and abroad. And we are very people are really happy knowing a lot of ideas and learning a lot from our visiting conductors and speakers. And the national convention is always being weighted by all members every 3 years. And we are really hoping that after the pandemic, everybody will be there in our next national convention. No? So yeah, and we have master classes before, and we have of course, in between we participate in hosting the World Youth Choir and the Asia Pacific Youth Choir auditions. Yeah, sometimes if I'm not wrong, the World Choir auditions was also held, so we help them. And in between, we do some workshops, and yeah. So those were the activities of the PCDA before the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So maybe Ana Lucia can tell us something about the Brazilian experience in the non-pandemic period.
Okay, good morning, Cecilia. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ana Lucia from Campo Grande in the Middle West of Brazil. I'm at 1,000 kilometers from São Paulo and 1,000 kilometers from Brasilia. It's our country capital. So I'm a professor at Universidade Federal de Mato Grosso do Sul. I'm a professor of conducting, of choir singing, and vocal technique. So I will present some of our activities during the pandemic. I will share my screen now. Yeah. So, as Vladimir said, we had another directory, another staff before us. And during the pandemic, the first staff promoted some webinars, some conferences, online conferences, some like this. Choral activities in pandemic times and return to rehearsals. This was in June 27th. In this conference, we had the Team Sharp as a member. So after, we have the Congress, International Congress of Conductors. It was our first Congress online. It was in September. So this is the first staff. Here we have Davi Juncker, our president. And in this picture, we have members of the first staff and the new staff with Vladimir as president. So in March 13, we have the Abracos Foundation Assembly. So in this moment, we have the official register and the official beginning of our organization. So we have a new organization. And I would like to add just to show you some of our congress, some of our festivals, because Brazil, as you know, is a big country. We have 5 regions. We have South, Southwest, Middle West, where I am, Northwest, where Vladimir is, and North. So we have a lot of festivals in Brazil, online festivals, and I couldn't organize all the festivals, but now we are researching about these festivals to show you. So now at this moment, but in the future we would like to show you all the festivals we had in Brazil in this period of pandemic. We have some virtual concerts, webinars, courses, a lot of activities, pedagogical activities, for example, to contribute to the conductors, to act, to conduct, to teach our choristers. And we have some events supported by Abraco, mainly in the spread of these events. And we have a lot of different kinds of events. For example, at Simukti, we have a festival only to the ancient people, to choristers who are in ancient age. We have, as Vladimir said, in Catanduva, a big festival too. And 2 weeks ago, in fact, a week ago, we have Simusi. Simusi is a international congress for children and youth choirs. So we have a big festival. And another kinds of festivals and congresses, including some international events. For example, we have Abraco at Encuentro Internacional de Coros Universitários in Chile and Chorus Portugal, for example. Now I would like to show you a little part of this video. Is a video from Simusi, where we have almost 2,000 children, 2,000, no, so 200, 200 children participating, including children from Argentina. So we will show you.
Won't you see the world? Just love and reach out love many others. See the giant shooting stars. I just wanna be a messenger of hope. Want to be, I want to be. Quero ser, quero
Okay, and this last word, esperança, is hope for us. So thank you, that's all.
On a regular basis, I mean, without any problems in the world like COVID-19, we would have more activities, you know, like seminars. We have more things to do. But it's also interesting to notice how this time of isolation also put us together. You know, Ifcda was born in this sense, you know. I mean, we're just at home and start talking and sharing experience and, you know, our anxiety for a new time, and we just share the expectations for a new life, and we start working on this project. I mean, in Brazil, it was pretty much the same. So COVID-19 put us apart, but at the same time, we are together working on online meetings and online projects. And I'm sure that as soon as we finish this time, or things get under control, everything is going to be very interesting, because we have lots of ideas to put together and to work together with our colleagues here in Brazil and doing this kind of thing, like congress, festivals, contests, and things like that. So our planning is going to be on the road after, I think by March next year, everything's going to be easier to do.
We hope so, Vlad. We hope so. Everyone does. And so we could learn something about how did the Filipino Choral Association deal with COVID. So you told us a lot of things about your past activities. So which part of your annual schedule have you carried on during this pandemic period, and in which ways?
All right. Thank you. It's very interesting, and because I mentioned earlier, every start of the year, every first quarter, the board meets, talks about the activities for the year. So in 2020, the COVID-19 virus isn't much spread here yet, around January, February. So we were still planning for our regular 3-year cycle. So that year was supposed to be a provincial assembly, if I'm not mistaken. So provincial assembly, we were supposed to organize 6 provincial assemblies for the year, but then the March of 2020, everything was on lockdown. So we were held in our own houses. No live performances for choir. So we were thinking, what can we do to still engage our membership, our industry? So for the second half of 2020, PCDA came up with this project called Kwento ng Kumpas. Kwento ng Kumpas is story of conducting, which is divided into 2 parts. I think Sir June was the project head for that. So maybe Sir June can talk more about it.
Yes. Yeah, we were really thinking on how are we going to really involve our members, or even the non-members, to to be to be connected with us during this pandemic, and to be online during this time of the year. We're just starting to be familiar with Zoom, be familiar with Google Meet. These are the platforms that we are just starting to use last year. And so we were thinking, how are they? How are the conductors? How are the members of the Directors Association during this time? So we thought of doing two things to say, how are you guys? How are you folks? To all our conductors and maybe some choirs around there. So we invite groups that can share what are they doing during the pandemic period. So we asked them, do you still rehearsing? How do you rehearse? So, people, this is of course live streamed to Facebook and other social media. And so other members will get to know this news. Oh, we can do something while on pandemic, while inside the pandemic. So we invited groups. That's the first part. We interviewed conductors, even conductors from the province. We invited not the popular ones, but even far away from the other islands. And the second part is we still provided them with updates. We still invited prominent choral conductors, figures in the country, locally and abroad, for them to be able to continue this, what we call lifelong learning in conducting, and of course inspiration for them to move on and go on while we are in the pandemic season. So this was really a very productive activity, our first activity during the pandemic season. Quite a number of attendees, actually.
Yes, and to add to that, this Kwento ng Kumpas videos are still available on our Facebook page. So,
Yes.
and it's on English. No, majority of the parts of the shows are in English. So any of you who can check that out, maybe learn something from our guests. For the second part where Sir Jun was talking about, we invited 4 speakers. It's really just sharing the expertise. It's not necessarily a webinar. It's just really sharing the expertise, what they think about the topic that we had. We had 4 topics because the whole Kwento ng Kumpas program spanned for about 4 months, I think. Every second and fourth Saturday, alternating with a plan with the first part, with the part A and part B. So there. And then this year came, 2021 came. We thought we can resume with our normal activities, but then again, we thought wrong. So because of the very good feedback that we got from these activities that we did in 2020, we planned for several of these other events, one of which is a online choral workshop series. These series are now the webinars. These are topics that people attend, people pay to attend, and thinking about the situation of our conductors. Most of our conductors aren't really full-time conductors. They have other jobs, or they just serve in churches or other communities. We just really had to find that sweet spot to ask for payment for just to compensate with the production part of it, paying for the speaker, and we provided them for members at least of PCDA. We gave them the privilege to invite another person to join them for free. So for all events we had in 2021, we had more or less around 250 attendees in our each session that we had. 250 around that. So Surgeon, do you want to talk more about the online choral series?
Yeah, actually, aside from these webinars, we continued this Kwento ng Kumpas, wherein we really we invited all the members, or even invited some others to join. And we really asked them what happened, what are they doing during the pandemic, especially after 2020. And we really discovered a lot. A lot of them lost their choirs, stopped their paychecks, and they were really struggling. This is a very nice way really to know them. And when they were already sharing their parts one by one, it was really a big help for all of them. I can feel that all directors are really struggling during this pandemic. And we were really trying to really listen to them. And this was really positive. And we find it really, really encouraging. And so we decided to have this Zoom Mustahan session. Zoom, because we're using Zoom, we invite them and log in and join us. And we just ask them, how are you? So each one of them shares their experience. Oh, this time I was doing this. I was just doing this. I have no choir, something like that. And we listened, the PCDA listened, and we tried our best to really give them some ideas and thoughts about how they can really recover. And little by little, they were getting a lot of ideas from each members, because some are successful, some are not successful. So this Zumustaan really helps while we are doing these major activities of PCDA by giving them webinars. And actually, the output of these webinars, we are trying to celebrate life by preparing for a virtual choir Christmas season in December. All PCDA members, because all of us are doing their own virtual choirs, of course, those who have choirs, but the conductors are not really there. It's all the members virtually. Right now, it's a big opportunity for everyone to see conductors singing in a virtual choir. So we're gonna show it live on December 15th, actually. So we started already the ball rolling. Everybody's been registering, and soon they're gonna record their parts already. Yeah. So this was really these activities for this 2021 was really very productive for all the members of PCDA.
Yeah, maybe just to wrap our part. Sorry. The rationale of all these activities that we've been planning for 2020, 2021 is really just to keep everyone still involved and interested in choral music, to know where they're coming from, what help they need, and what help the organization can extend to them, and definitely to encourage them to still learn how to be better choral musicians despite the situation that we are in. And the online choral series that we organized this year, the theme was really a holistic approach on caring for oneself, being a conductor. So we had physical activities, rhythmic activities, body rhythm. I think this was the title. So it's still connected to music, but still it's
mind, body, and soul, I guess.
Yeah, it's mind, body, and soul. That was a theme of the 2021, and reflecting on how to program more. It's really, the growth will never stop, despite the situation that we are in. So yeah, it's just that message of hope, and there's always something to look forward to after this. So there.
Okay, thank you. It was really, really interesting, and I learned a lot. So, have you a question for each other? So maybe the Brazilian team has a question for the Philippine and.
Yes. I just want to add something about this question. So since we start like officially in March, so we stay almost 6 months working on the paperwork for the Brazilian government. So just by the end of August, we have the official authorization to work as an association in Brazil. It takes a long way because of the pandemic thing. So we didn't have like permission to work like as an association, but we still working like as a movement, you know. So today on WhatsApp and Telegram, we have about almost 1,000 conductors connected to us. So we have like groups from the different regions of Brazil, one for South, one for Northeast, and so on. So people can interact and share their experiences, their videos, their lectures, what's going on in each part of Brazil. And that has been such a very big thing for us, because even though we are not doing something like as an association, but we can work as a group of people interested in choral conducting and in choral music. So we can tell you that our association is growing a lot because we have people engaged in these groups on social medias, and that is very nice. And we are sure that next year when we start getting more subscriptions and new memberships, so we have a very strong movement. We are looking forward to have something like physically, in a place, so we can meet, we can talk, we can say, hey, nice to meet you. Oh, you are so different from the screen. There are some friends that I just met on screen, and I'm sure that when I met them personally, it's going to be quite different, and we're going to laugh about that because it's so interesting, this kind of thing. But I would like to know, I would like to ask my friends from Philippines, how many professional choirs do they have there? Here in Brazil, we have about 17 professional choirs. It's a very small number for a country like Brazil. I don't know if you have this kind of choir there. And I also would like to know, how is the relationship of your association with the composers? Do you work quite closely? Do they write music to you? I mean, what is this relationship between the association and the composers?
Yes. Maybe I'll answer first, and then so June can just add. For the first question that you had, professional choirs, we had one in around 2000. It was the San Miguel Master Chorale, which was sponsored by this corporation that produces beer and other food products. So yeah, it's a San Miguel Master Chorale, which was conducted by the first president of the PCDA, Mr. Jonathan Velasco, which was then passed on to Eunice Palaruan, and the overall music director of this foundation that is National Artist for Music, Mr. Ryan Cayabyab. So they organized this, and sometime around 2010, I don't know, late 2000s, things just fell off. I don't know. I'm not privy to the story of the organization. So at the moment, we have no professional choirs in the Philippines. We have no professional choirs. We have, I guess you can call it semi-professional choirs. They're not paid to do it, but they get allowances. So there are choirs like that. But we have very, very good amateur choirs. I think that's something that can be really proud of. In one of our conventions, we talked about this. We had this conductor talk about, do we really need to have professional choirs? Yes, it's a different scheme to have professional choirs, and you have paid singers to sing and rehearse. But then again, the choral scene of the Philippines is really wide and active, and all the amateur choirs existing, maybe you can say they're still treating it. If I'm a member, I'm still treating it as a full-time thing for me. If not, I'm really committed to it. So most of our members in the amateur choirs are playing like professional singers in choirs. So there. And second question, you were talking about
Composers.
could you remind me, Vlad? Composers, yes.
And in general, I would say, what is the repertoire that you perform? I mean, is more like arrangements of traditional music or Filipino pop music, or is like original compositions for choral? I just want to know about that. I mean, it's more like, what's more like?
Yeah, Sir Jun, do you want to answer?
Okay, again, as for maybe for the past 5 to 10 years, it's been a trend for Filipino choirs to really really learn really interesting and really not really sophisticated, but happy and maybe sophisticated works of local composers. And most of them are as well as conductors and at the same time arranging and composing. We have this organization in the Philippines, Compositor. We've been partnering with PCDA before, right? No, and these are a group of 3 or 4 arrangers at the same time conductors as well, and they are really writing for choirs, for the Filipino choirs. And with regards to the repertoire you were asking, Vladimir, right now, there are still most Filipino choirs are really interested in really learning folk arrangements, traditional folk arrangements of the Philippines, and with the rise of some Asian composers, we are trying something, but we always hear at the same time the other way around, Asian choirs singing Filipino folk music, because I don't know. Since I entered this kind of trend with the university choirs joining always international competitions, left and right, and there is a demand for arrangements and choral compositions for the choice piece of the choir's own country. So for Filipino representatives, they really need to search, and we are very happy that these composers from the past, maybe 10, 20 years ago, or even 30 years ago, were able to put it in a compilation, and they published it. And we were able to scan and select some best pieces. Some other pieces were not being performed, or were not being performed for the past 20 years, and they are being revived at this time. Some are new. So still in the ears of most choirs in the country. Like for example, when the Philippine Madrigal Singers introduces this piece, it becomes a publicity for all Filipino choirs who would really want to perform that song. It's interesting. If there's something new, they will really try it. Yeah. So some groups that are really known around in the country, when they perform it on stage, most of the choirs will really try in their choirs performing those particular songs, and that's mostly folk, traditional music. Of course, we can never get away with pop music, because there are Filipinos are also very very interested in singing this, especially for the younger generation. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
also want to add, to put into context that yes, these famous choirs who perform new works that we see are sometimes really picked up by other choirs in the country. And it's really putting into context that most of the choirs or most of the conductors aren't really formally trained in universities and colleges. So studying music literature, yes, we have choirs performing period music, also Renaissance, Romantic, and commissions. Because of PCDA, because of the PCDA, we also have composers in our membership, and they've been attending our events, our conferences, our conventions, and we've been pushing people to really try to capture the sound of their choir by commissioning composers to make scores for them. And I think it's a very interesting relationship that we have with composers,
With the
and
composers.
arrangers. Yeah. So yes, and most of them are also conductors. So it's really one big happy family for us, I think.
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
So do the Filipinian team have a question for Vlad or Ana Lucia?
Sir June, you have anything?
Well, I was thinking about this now. Of course, Brazil. Actually, I'm more more interested in really how you really catch your members. You were saying that this 2021 pandemic, you were able to get them online, no? How do you really do that? Do you do a lot of publicity, or do you do mails or something for the choir directors? Do you get the list of all the choirs in Brazil or something like that? I really want to know, because I'm the BP for membership. I really want to know how do you extend, and I don't know, maybe you're using the technology right now for everyone to be reached, no? And I was amazed with Anna's presentation of the festivals, a lot of choral festivals during the pandemic. But I'm really curious how the organization is really reaching out a big country in Brazil.
And I'll add one more question. I also want to know if how is the choral scene in Brazil supported by the government?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
can share with Anna this part. I can talk a little bit about the first question, and then Anna can talk a little bit about the Brazilian government support for the choral music. So as I mentioned, I mean, we just start this year. So WhatsApp and Instagram and also Facebook and Telegram, we are just, they are our best supporters, because we have people from all parts of Brazil connected through this social media. So we hope next year we are just like, I would say that we are just preparing like some kind of facilities and some kind of service for our members that will be like a good way to get connected with these people. We are planning on having our newspaper, our journal, like our choral journal, the Brazilian choral journal. So people that are affiliated are member of our association can get that thing exclusively. So we have to think about something like that. So I think next year we have about 500 conductors with us. That is our goal at this moment. So we are just organizing our website and things like that, so people can get, like, I would say, very stimulated to take part in that. But as you know, it's very hard to get new members and to keep people motivated and connected, especially when they have to pay some kind of annual, fee or tax for that thing. How many members do we have? I think 700, is that right?
Yes, collectively, past and present, more or less 700 members.
And do they have to pay something annual for being part of the association?
Our membership is paid annually, very minimal amount annually. Sorry?
In dollars, how much?
Around around $15
$15
per year. Yes.
Yeah, it's Brazil is a little bit more than that. I mean, it's like $25. I think it's that. Yeah.
And it's also annual.
Yeah, annual. Yes, annual. Yes.
We're actually considering lifetime memberships, but it's a complicated matter, so we're still talking about it with the board.
Yeah. So Anna, please help us with the second part of the question.
Okay, so we think that all choral conductors have the same purpose, to make most of people singing and share our artistic experiences and offer this feeling of well-being singing. I think it's all over the world is the same purpose. And in Brazil, we don't have most of people singing in choirs. In fact, officially, we don't have choirs in schools. Some schools, private schools mainly, and some schools offer singing as an activity, choirs as an activity, but it's not a real official program, for example. So most of people don't have this experience. It's a pity, but we have some choirs, a lot of amateurs choirs, and a lot of people singing. But I think people want to see results. For example, what I see is that when people see a choir singing, or in a video, we have a lot of videos in pandemic times. Really, we have we say mosaico because we have a lot of windows, and when people see this result, when people see other people singing and can perceive the results, the music, so people think, oh, I want to make this. I think the result is the best way to catch, as you said, to catch and engage people and motivate people. Because we, as conductors, we know that choir singing um, can take a lot of benefits to people, cognitive benefits and motor and social and psychological benefits. But most of people don't know about it. So I think our our fight is always trying take people to experience this. So when we make people conscient about it, I think we can discuss strategies, because we can motivate conductors and motivate people, motivate choristers to increase and improve our practices. I think.
And as for the Brazilian government support for choral music, I would say that Funarte, that is a governmental institution, non-profit governmental institution, is helping a lot with specific programs for publishing new choral music, for the development of the choral activity in Brazil. Professor Maria José Quevitares is a very important lady in our country, and she has been doing such a great job conducting lots of initiatives, looking forward to develop the choral music in Brazil.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So I think we are going to finish our meeting with one last question that even will answer to a question we had on the YouTube chat. Someone asked the objectives of Ifcda. And so I ask you, what did you expect? Why did you choose to be part of Ifcda, and in which way you think being part of it will improve your choral activity and the life of your organization?
I think the best idea of Ifcda can be like summarized on the logo that of our institution. We have a round, symbol. That means that the word doesn't have corners or borders. I mean, I think Ifcda is coming to help people to get together, to get closer, to work together. So improving their activities in the field of choral music in their countries. So I'm so glad to be part of this history. I'm so glad to be here sharing with you a little bit of our experience here in Brazil, and also listen to you, learning a lot from you. And I am sure that this is gonna, this is gonna grow a lot. We have more people coming, and I'm sure we're gonna share lots of experience, lots of music, and we are gonna do lots of things together and give visibility to our, performances, to our realities, to our lives in each country that is part of the Ifcda. I'm so glad to be part of this. I'm so glad that I was invited. Roberto, thank you very much. Enrico, thank you very much for your initiative. It's very important. I'm looking forward to meet you personally, because I think that's going to be very good to sing in Philippine, to sing in Italian, and also to share with you some of our music and some of our ideas. Thank you very much. And if you are listening to us, please join our movement and help us to be stronger and help us to reach more people around the world, a world without borders.
Yes, and also to add to what Vlad said, I mean, choral music is very dynamic. So there's always something new to learn. Rooting from the classical composers, Italian composers, German composers, there's still so much to discover in different parts of the world on the basis of choral music. There are lots of new works from Brazil, new choral works from the Philippines that needs to be shared to people. And all of us have our own expertise also, which we can share to other choral music practitioners. So I'm just really looking forward to collaborations that we have. Maybe we can do conductor exchange programs. We send conductors to Brazil. Brazil sends us some conductors to learn from each other. And yeah, there are lots of possibilities actually, especially in choral music. And I don't know, I'm just really happy that PCDA is part of this very wonderful organization. And it will just really boost our choral art globally.
Okay, thank you. So we can finish just remembering everybody that on November 21st, there will be the second Ifcda Dialogue. It will be Italy and Argentina with a mediator from Ecuador. So we hope to see you in a month. Good day, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.